Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to The Art of Business. I'm Justin Gaynor, and I am with General Media Consulting. I have partnered with the folks here at Common Ground Community Development to be able to offer some free classes to help you build up and equip yourselves for being successful in business. Last time we looked at the basics of business planning, and today we're going to be looking at networking, developing an actual network of connections within the community where you can be part of a mutually beneficial group of people who build one another up for success in business. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And by the way, we're not in church, so if you do have a question, it would probably be best to just kind of jot it down. I'm going to move through the slides pretty quickly, and there's going to be plenty of time for conversation and discussion, and actually maybe even doing some networking here and some role playing as well after we go through the presentation. So if the Holy Spirit moves on you and you have a word, that's awesome. Let's hear it, but let's write it down, and we'll do it at the end of the session. All right. So social capital is all about developing something that is of tangible value, monetary value to you as a business owner, and also to help others to build their social capital as well. This is certainly always meant to be a mutually beneficial relationship for everyone who participates in it. Now, there's a ton of different opportunities to network here in Palm Beach County. There's certainly the Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce, which is actually the combination of the old Boynton Beach Chamber of Commerce and the Boca Chamber of Commerce. There's a Chamber of Commerce in West Palm. Here at Common Grounds, there's a business networking group that has been meeting for years that I've personally been a part of over at the coffee shop, and we've been meeting on Zoom through the whole COVID thing, and we continue to do so. We just recently started reconvening here at the new building at 1201 South Federal. And so social capital is an important thing. As a matter of fact, some people would argue that this is one of the most important parts of becoming successful in business in this current environment that we have. And it seems interesting because since it's so difficult to face-to-face network with people, it's becoming even more valuable, because if you can network well and you can really be involved in being connected and connecting others, you become a much more valuable person. And so last week we talked a little bit about Don Miller's book, Business Made Simple, and what it looks like to become a value-driven professional. You will be a value-driven professional that is successful at networking if you apply the things that we're going to be looking at today. So I need to get one of those little clickers. I don't have one anymore. The first one is coordination. Coordination is absolutely key to successful networking in this day and age. Somebody or some group of people has to do the very hard work of bringing different people together into the same location where networking and relationship building can actually happen. Whether it's setting up a Zoom meeting, whether it's overseeing and managing a Chamber of Commerce or some other networking group, the coordination has to happen. And I make no qualms about, learning things from different people who are much better at networking than I am. And you should be the same. You should always enter into every scenario expecting to learn something, expecting to learn something new. And so you have to kind of be hungry for that, looking for that next thing that you're going to learn from other people who have different experiences, different education, and different networks than you, who can add value to your life. And of course, they're going to be looking for the same thing from you. So it's going to be vital. So the coordination part of it, if you can be involved in that, it's a great way to understand kind of how things work on the back end. And a lot of times you can volunteer. You can even open your own home. One of the best networking people that I know is Brandy Abrams down in Boca Raton. She is a financial professional, and she has a gathering at her house and invites people over. Everybody brings a bottle of wine worth $20 or more, and if you want to bring more than that, if you want to bring food and stuff, you can. And every single time, I mean, the house is packed. There's plenty of wine to have. There's plenty of food. Everybody has a fantastic time, and she just connects with such a diverse group of people. You always get into these amazing conversations. And so, and the thing about her, she's super, super genuine about really connecting people. And so I've learned kind of a lot just from watching how she networks and is able to build and develop those relationships. And so that coordination, it doesn't have to be some huge, event that happens, at the Ritz-Carlton in their business center, or in their in their meeting rooms or something. It can be something as simple as inviting people over for a glass of wine and some dinner. Now, of course, with all networking events, you want to be kind of careful not to drink too much, because if you make a fool of yourself, that can kind of stick with you for a while. So be wise, be warned, and enjoy yourself. Connect with people. Go into the event with the intention of having a good time. People love to connect with people who are having a good time, and so you want to go into it with the idea of having fun, building relationships, being intentional about actually about building real relationships and enjoying yourself, because people love to be around people who bring them up a notch as far as the joy and the happiness that they're experiencing. So the coordination of the event is super, super important. Trust. When you're in a networking group, if you have someone who's trying to hard sell you on basically being in their network, and just kind of that's how they are, they're basically strictly business, you're not going to trust that person. When you go into this, it's a matter of developing trust, and you develop trust with how you carry yourself, the level of confidence you present yourself with. Do you really know what you do? Are you an expert in what you do? And are you able to speak, wisely, intelligently, and humbly about what you do in such a way that it adds value to that other person? We develop trust over time. You can't basically enter into a networking scenario and instantly expect everyone to be willing to trust you and do business with you. However, what you can be aware of is that people do business with people they know and trust. And we get to know and trust people over time as we refer business back and forth, as we have conversations, as we share meals together, as we have a couple of cocktails together. Those are the things that happen within networking groups. And so consistency is something that's super important in order to develop that trust. Now, does that mean that if there's a networking meeting, once a week, and there's a charity event here and this and that, if you try to do everything that's available to you in like the Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce, you would like crash and burn in no time. You would just run yourself ragged. So choose those events that you can really connect with, where you feel that there's going to be people there that you can add value to, and people who can add value to you, and where you feel you can strongly develop trusting relationships within the business community. The next one is permission. In marketing, we have very oftentimes tried to basically shove product and services down people's throat, convince them that this is what they need, get them to sign on the dotted line. I sold cars when I was like 18 years old, and the whole thing was we'd stand at this big picture window, sun's beating down on you in the early morning and coming through this big glass. There's like 40 sales guys in the room, and in order to get in front of a customer to talk to them, to try and sell them a car, you had to see their blinker coming in and call the car coming in before the other 40 guys, just to be able to get the ups to go talk to them. And then if you went and got an opportunity to talk to them, then you had to close them. And if you didn't close them, then you were making like minimum wage out of the bucket that you eventually had to pay back when you did sell a car. So there was everything in the world was there to push you to push that product and push that service on that person. Permission marketing. This is all about presenting value to people where they say, you know what, I want what that guy has. I want what that person is selling. And so they ask for it, or you ask them, hey, can I do this for you? And if they say yes, that's an amazing thing. Seth Godin, who actually is the gentleman who actually laid out some of these principles that I'm talking about, he basically said, if you didn't send out your email for this week, your email to connect with your network and all the people that are in your databases, if you didn't send that email, how many people would be upset? How many people would be looking for that email? So, Justin usually sends me an email every Friday to kind of let me know what's going on, and there's usually some good content in there, and it's not here. Maybe I should call him. How many people are doing that on the marketing materials and the emails that you're sending out? These are people who have given you permission to send them things, and because they've given you permission, they have a vested interest in that they actually want to receive it. And so the more people you have like that on your mailing list, email list, and the people that you're connecting with, the better, because they are much, much more likely to buy product from you because they already want to hear your messages, and your messages are going to lead them to a product that is beneficial to them. Value exchange. This is all about taking all of the stories that you have, the experiences that you have, and sowing those things into other people's lives so that they can be better business people. Yes, you're there networking to be able to sell product or sell service. But if you are able to share an experience with someone and that helps make them better at sales, or you share an experience with someone and that helps them fix a problem that they're struggling with at work, you are a valuable person. You are a valuable person in my network if you can share value with me. When you enter into that relationship, when you first have that conversation, always, always, always focus on what is the value exchange going to be here. Not so much, can I get a sale? Can I collect, at least 10 business cards while I'm here tonight and have 10 conversations so you can check off a list? No, when you enter into the conversation with the person, how can I bring value to this person? And that means you're listening. First and foremost, you're listening to what they're saying. You're listening and asking good questions to find out where their struggles are. If they've got complaints and gripes and they're going to vent those sometimes at networking events, listen closely, allow them to vent. Not everybody wants to have their problem fixed, but if you allow them to vent, kind of connect with them on that, because we all have hard days, hard experiences, difficult customers, difficult employees, difficult bosses. And so, allow that venting to go on. But if you hear something where you can genuinely add value and make that person more successful, then share that with them in a way that they can receive it so that they are better equipped to be the best person in business that they can be. And you are the one that helped them with that, and you will be a valuable member of their network. And so in the same thing, as this is going on kind of on a mutual basis and this exchange is going on, then everyone who participates in the networking is going to be better for it. This is why social capital is so valuable, is because the teaching of what it is to be in business and what it is to do business within the community that you're all a part of, when you start building each other up and helping each other become better, when you're able to speak the truth to one another in love, then that's really where the social capital comes into play, where it really starts to skyrocket and have significant tangible value in your business life and in your experiences, and probably even in your personal life as well. And so value exchange is super, super important. So you're going into the social situation and you are expecting to add value. Be more focused on adding value to the situation than receiving value. Be very, very focused on listening well. So now I'm going to share with you 10 tips that I came across for networking that will help you, that are practical. Okay, so we need the coordination of the actual event. We need to develop trust with the people that we're connecting with. We need to do all the things that we just talked about. Those are those are your core features of solid networking. Okay, but now we're going to look at some very practical things, because some people are more introverted than others, and some people are overly extroverted, and both of those can actually hurt you. And so we need to be aware of those things. But please, no matter what you do, don't be scared of going in and connecting with people. You want to make sure that you don't become a wallflower, or you just kind of connect to the one person that you feel comfortable with and you stay with them the whole time, and neither one of you actually gets to grow your network. So here's 10 practical tips that'll help you with your networking. Like I said before, be intentional about having fun. If you're an introverted person, most likely you are going to be horrified about actually connecting with people and going into these situations. Most likely the whole Zoom thing has kind of been a little bit better for you. You feel comfortable behind a screen. For some reason we feel more comfortable when there's that degree of separation where we're not physically in the presence of someone. So maybe that's helped a little bit, but let that be a stepping stone, because as we shift back more and more into connecting with real people in real life, you want to be able to do so in a way that is fruitful. And that means overcoming some fears for a lot of people that are, afraid of public speaking, people who are naturally introverted, and those sorts of things. So the main thing is, when you go into an event, you are there to have a good time. People are going to want to connect with people that are fun to be around, to learn some good jokes, learn to really connect with people and have a sense of humor, and listen for good jokes, and little things, little quips that are going to basically lower the barrier between the humanity that both of you share. And so humor is a huge factor in that. And so go into the situation with the mentality that I'm going to go there, I'm going to have a good time. Yes, you're there to connect with people. Yes, you're there to get business cards so that you can reach out and follow up with people with emails and phone calls and those sorts of things, and think of ways to actually connect with them, and how your relationship can be mutually beneficial for your business and profitable. But go into it lighthearted, looking to really have fun and connect with people. That is so important to the networking process, and to really building solid relationships and even friendships that can last for years and years and years, and be super fruitful and pay huge dividends on a business standpoint. Be a first mover. No matter where you are on the scale of introvert, extrovert, be intentional about being willing to be the first person to walk up and introduce yourself. Learn how to bring the walls down. Learn how to be the type of person who enters into, or is willing to enter into the conversation first. Because when you do that, you give that other person who may be more introverted than you are the opportunity to say, okay, I don't have to actually find someone to talk to. This guy's going to talk to me. Cool. And so do those sorts of things. Be a first mover. It'll be super helpful, and learn what it looks like, how to approach someone well. It's not just walk up to someone, hey, my name's John, I do plumbing, here's my card, good to meet you. What do you do again? It doesn't have to start out like that. You just walk up and say hi to somebody, or say, hey man, I saw you pull in. That's a nice car. Is that the new such and such? Oh yeah, basically just have a conversation with that person. Look for interesting ways to be that first mover, and to open those pathways of communication. Be ridiculously optimistic. This one actually comes from, again, the Don Miller book recently. He told a story about this coach that he sat with, and as he was having, I think it was the coach of the Seattle Seahawks or something like that, and he says, tell me what is, tell me about what you do. And he's like, well, the thing is I'm ridiculously optimistic. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what competition I enter or what I put my mind to, when I go into something, I expect to win. Always. And Don's like, always? Yeah, always. I expect that I'm going to win every single time. So then the obvious question comes up, well, what happens when you lose? What happens when you don't win? I'm shocked. I can't believe it. I thought I had that one. It blows my mind. It blows your mind every single time? Every time. Because when I go into it, I'm expecting to win. The reason I'm there is to win. So I expect that I'm going to win. But if I don't win, blows my mind. Completely shocks me. We need to have that kind of faith, that kind of optimism, that when we enter into a situation, we are going to be successful. Develop that mindset and you will be a value-driven professional who is good at networking, among other things. Be ridiculously optimistic. Detach from your comfort person. Even if you are extroverted, we have a tendency to find our wingman and stick with them the whole night. That hinders us from connecting with people. It hinders them from connecting with people. If we're introverted, we typically connect with that person and stand off to the side the entire networking event. And if someone approaches us, we have a quick conversation, but my God, get it over with as quickly as possible and get them away because we're kind of like, hanging out here. And that's not why you're there. You're there to expand your network. And so you need to detach from your comfort person and let them go do their thing and you do your thing, and you can reconvene later and talk about what happened and those sorts of things. That's fantastic. But the whole thing is if you have a comfort person, or if you are the type of person who wants to just kind of grab your drink and stand by the tree in the corner, detach from that and be intentional, be that first mover, and let the safety blanket go and connect with people and start to build your network. Be intentional about it. And when you start to do that, now that you've heard someone confront you directly on it, realize that you're doing what you're doing and that you're missing opportunities to build your business or to build the business for the person who has sent you there. And so that's very, very important. Sow first, reap later. When you enter into these social events where you are developing a network, you bring tremendous value to that group of people. You have business experience, you have education, you have customer experiences, you have experiences with bosses, you have challenges that you've overcome, and you have an opportunity to sow into someone else's life who is coming up. Think of it as a mentoring relationship. Think of yourself as a mentor. I'm going into this situation with an opportunity to mentor and to build up people. If you go into that situation with that, you are going to be a valuable person within the networking sphere. You also have to be humble enough to receive, okay? But your primary thing when you go in there on your mind is, I want to meet some people this evening and I want to be able to build them up and equip them. I want to be able to sow into their life something of value. And so you sow first, you reap later. Okay, so when you sow value into other people's lives, that will eventually produce good fruit for you, because you will be top of mind when they are applying those things that they learn from you in their day-to-day business lives. And when something comes up that's related to you and your business, you are going to be the one that they send the referral to, because you have added value to their life and you've developed trust with them, and you have been someone that they are willing to put their name on the line for when they send someone to you to do business with you. Connect others. When you're networking with people, there can be uncomfortable situations where you've been in a conversation for maybe like 10 or 15 minutes, and you kind of have added all the value to that person that you really is coming to mind for you, and you've kind of received what you have, but it just keeps kind of droning on, and you want to move away from that situation. Part of connecting with that person is not just what value you can add to them or what value they can add to you, but also what value can be added to them from other people that you've met. So when you connect others, you become a valuable person in the sphere of networking. If you're talking with someone and you want to kind of move on from that conversation, or perhaps it may just be that you hear them say something and you think to yourself, wow, this person just opened a brand new car dealership. I know a guy who does sales training for IBM executives, and on a consultant basis, and he would be great to bring in to help them train their sales force at this new auto dealership. Hey, by the way, Bob, I want to introduce you to John. He's amazing. If you really want to move a lot of cars, I mean, this guy knows what he's talking about. And so come over here. Let me introduce you to him. And you connect those people, and then you withdraw from the conversation and let them have their opportunity to network. It's a great way to shift from one person to another, and also if he hires that person, not only did this person get some business because you connected Bob to John, so John's loving you right now because you just connected him with someone where he can really have a financial benefit, but also, Bob's going to be able to have the training he needs for his sales force, and he's stoked because you connected them. And so you have just become a very valuable person within the sphere of that networking group. Mutual benefit. This is also super important. You do not want to be a doormat who's constantly giving and giving and giving and never receiving from anyone else. That's why you have to have a humble mindset, being willing to learn from others and to be able to receive from others, and also being able at some point to ask for the referral, ask for the business. But you also need to be willing to sow into that other person. And so the mutuality of the relationship needs to be something that is fostered by both you and everyone who's part of that networking community. And if you see someone who's always a taker, always like, just here's my card to send me business, here's my card to send me business, and they never actually take the opportunity to develop real relationships, and the likelihood is you'd never send anybody to do business with them. The thing is that you want to be able to sow into that person's life and help them become better at networking. Even if you don't do it yourself, you can send them to a class like this so that they can learn some things that will help them be better at being part of that community, and they're going to benefit from it. They're going to experience deeper, more connected relationships, and they're going to be more fruitful at networking, financially speaking, and materially speaking, because you sowed into their life. And don't be rude about it. Don't say, you suck at networking, you need to go to this class, here, call this guy. Don't do that. Say, hey, look, maybe come alongside them and say, hey, listen, I'm going to this class to learn to be able to network a little bit better. I think we could actually benefit more from this. Would you be willing to go with me? That's a great way to connect with someone and to be able to build them up without insulting them. And so that's make sure that you focus on developing mutually beneficial relationships. The next one is going to be conversational value. When I'm speaking with you here in this class and I'm doing the presentation, I'm simply pouring into your life. I'm not receiving anything. However, when we stop the class, there's going to be time for interaction, and I'm going to expect that you guys are going to share with me some things that you've experienced based on the conversation or based on the presentation. And actually, I will go out of here. I usually go out of classes more built up than when I came in, not just because I presented, but because I've met people who have experienced these things and who can actually give validation with real-world experience. And that helps me not only to be encouraged, but also to learn to be better at my own networking. And so the conversation being balanced is important. So when you enter into that conversation and you're talking with someone, first of all, you're going to be a super good listener. I recently posted something on Facebook about the art of conversation. And one of the things that she pointed out is oftentimes when we go to we go to university or anything, they give you all these tips, and they train you to be able to make sure that you can show signs to the other person when you're networking that you're actually listening. Make sure that you nod your head and do this and do that. She says it's all crap, because the fact of the matter is, if you're actually paying attention, you don't have to do things to prove that you're paying attention to the other person, because you're actually paying attention. And so we want to be able to become really good listeners. Not only listening for what they're saying, but comprehending their heart, comprehending the situation, asking them questions, developing a sincere interest in other people. People love to be connected with people who sincerely have an interest in them. If you don't have an interest in them, you come across very, very easily and quickly as a phony, and they really are going to want to get out of that conversation pretty quickly. But if you genuinely have an interest in them and you really want to see them succeed in their business, and you're there to add value to their life, and that is what you are focused on doing in addition to having a good time, they are going to want to connect with you, and you are going to be a valuable person in that networking sphere. Keep moving. When you're at a networking event, there's typically, an event is anywhere usually from an hour or more. And when you enter into that situation, move around the room. It's so easy to get stuck not only with our comfort person, but sometimes we can get stuck in a conversation and that other person feels super comfortable with us, and that's a good thing. But if you do not move on at the appropriate time to the next conversation, you're robbing yourself and you're robbing that other person of an opportunity to connect with other people. So again, think of ways to transition from one conversation to another, and then if you want to have a longer, more fruitful conversation with someone who you're connecting with at the networking event, make sure that you do exchange cards and invite them for a cup of coffee. Invite them out for lunch or something where it can be just the two of you connecting on a deeper level if you perceive that there's going to be a mutual benefit in developing that relationship. And so that is the presentation today. I'm asking for questions, but what we'll go ahead and do is we will kind of break from this whole this setting right here where I'm up here staying talking. We'll sit around the table and have some conversation, and so let's go ahead and do that at this time. I thank you guys for your patience. I thank you for coming this morning, and I hope that this was of some benefit to you. I will, of course, go ahead and email you a copy of the presentation so that it can be helpful. I certainly want to give props to the folks who I learned from, whether it be Don Miller or Seth Godin or a number of other folks who have sown into my life to help me to be able to share with you these things today. So again, thanks so much, and next week 9 o'clock, same place, and we will continue this journey through the art of business.